So I just want to give a huge shout out to Matthew. Matthew works at Lakin Peninsula School District. We do a form at the end of every meeting just asking for presenters, because the idea is that we'll have teachers from all across the state sharing their knowledge, because we know there's tons of teachers with knowledge. And Matthew said he'd be interested presenting at a later time. And I was like, how about September? Is that a later enough time for you? And he said, yes, of course. I was excited to learn. He has been teaching in Alaska for 19 years as a technology integration specialist, and also as a special ed teacher. He said he uses Google Meet a lot, so he's going to be a great resource for us to kind of share the basics behind setting up a Google Meet and all of that. So, Matthew, when you are ready, you may go ahead and begin.
Okay. Good evening, everyone. I've also, along with those things, I've also taught online reading now for many. I'm not doing it anymore, but I taught it for many years, online reading to middle school students across the district. And so I have a lot of experience with distance delivery of conferencing like Google Meet and other products to deliver the content, and then also having to put that again on a learning management system where the students can get their work and do that. I'm going to probably not share in full screen mode because I need to switch over to do some of the presentation on the different apps that go along, or the different apps of Google products. And so I'll just probably keep it the way it is. Hopefully everyone can see it. Sometimes when I screen share, I have a hard time figuring out where all the participants are. So I'm going to go over scheduling a Google Meet, inviting, sharing Google Meet links, and some quick Google Meet features. You have really three major ways that you can schedule a Google Meet. You can schedule it through the Google Meet website. You can schedule it through Google Calendars, and you can schedule it through Google Classroom. It integrates with all of those products. If you're using Google Classroom, you'd probably want to start there, because that's the easiest way to embed it into your Google Classroom site. If you're not using Google Classroom, but Google Calendars, you can start there. And if you're not using Google Calendars or Google Classroom, you could do it straight on the Google Meet website. And I'll probably not do those in order, but that's my suggestion, is to do it where it's going to be the least, or the best way for your efficiency to schedule it the quickest and have it where you need it, so you're not cutting and pasting a whole bunch of links. And you can just manage it from there. So if you're on the Google Meet site, and I'll switch over to the site, you can just schedule a Google Meet right there just by clicking join or start meeting. You can just type it in, you can hit continue, and you'll get your meet. You'll actually join it right away. And I probably won't join it, but you can join it, and then you'll do some of the things that I'll show you later. So I'm gonna actually back it up, because I don't want to actually join a meeting, because it might be a little weird. But you can also do a weekly meeting too, right there. Back it up one more time. Oh, sorry. Okay, so you can just join it. There's ways to join it that way. That's pretty simple and easy. That's good if you need a quick meeting and you need it to be done right away. And then when you get inside the meeting, I'll show you later, you can get the join information and you can send it out. So I would do that if I needed a quick meeting right away, but I wouldn't necessarily do that for a class because it's not that efficient. So when you get onto the slides, it's pretty much straightforward right there. Then you can also do it through Google Calendar. I have the directions on the slides just for your later reference, but I'll show you how to do it quickly on my calendars. If you use Google Calendars, you can schedule it right there on a calendar. You just want to create a new calendar event. So you hit create. And in your calendar event, you will have you'll have Google Meet. I also have Zoom just because of the district, but you would have your Google Meet right here, and you can set it up there. So you'd add your title. you would do your time. If it's going to repeat, you would put your repeating in daily, weekly. Let's just do daily for now. You could find a time. If you don't know a time, but you probably know your time, so you can just put in your time daily. You can add your guests. You add your Google Meet. You add a description if you want one. It's all up to you because, I mean, and then you would want to put it on a calendar. So if you already have a calendar created for your class, you would put it on that class's calendar so that the students would also, once you invite them to that calendar, would be able to see it. And then you can also set reminders on the calendar so that you'll see a notification a few minutes before it happens, or you wouldn't want a day before, of course, probably, but 5 minutes, 10 minutes before. Sometimes I have to hit more options. You might have to do the same. And you can get everything here in more options. I sometimes just hit more options and just do it all from this screen because I actually kind of like the screen a little bit better because it gives me everything. So here's basically everything we had before. What this does let you do though is turn off permissions for any guests so they can't invite others and they can't see your guest list. So they won't see that. Um, so also if you click right here, you can see your Google Meet URL and the phone numbers. That's helpful if you don't have Google, if you're not gonna use Google Classroom, you're using something else, you can just you can just copy this link and put it wherever you are, your class webpage, your email to your whoever you're giving it out to, whatever you need, it's right there. When you post it on a calendar and people are sharing that calendar, they'll see it come up on that calendar. So you don't have to do that. You don't have to share out the link if you do using calendars. But if you're not, there's your link right there. When you're done, you hit save, and it'll come up like this is my next month. It'll come up every single month under whatever calendar. And when someone clicks on it, they can then just join right there from the calendar. You can also embed your calendars into a website. Most websites will take the Google Calendar and you can embed it in there, and you'll show a small calendar. You can even show the calendar view as an agenda. So that's what we do in our district website. We have the agenda view on our professional development that I manage, and we have that. And so we just have them all come up for the people watching that. Okay, I'm gonna try to stay up on chat as best I can, but it's on another screen for me. So yes, you can use the appointment feature if you want them to sign up for times when creating an event. You can do more. I have never actually used that, but you can do them and have them set up a time. Could do that for like office hours. Another way to set up a Google Meet is through Google Classes. So it's classroom.google.com. It's also up here in your apps. Looks like a classroom. If you're using Google Classrooms, I know some people are not, because even though they'd use Google Meet, their district uses a different learning management system like Canvas or Schoology or PowerSchool or something else. So they're not necessarily using Google Classes, but I know some are because they're using the full Google suite of products. So we'll go over classes too. So I'm going to actually create a new class just in case no one's ever created a class before. You would hit the plus sign, create a class. I know it's not a class, but it's not on classes. That's the only thing that's required. So I'm just going to leave the rest out. But normally you could put in the rest. Hit create. I was reading the chat. So it's creating it while it's creating it. If it doesn't create it, I'll just go back, but it should create it. There we go. So when you have it created, there's a couple of, once you have your class created, if you already have a class, you'll see it. There's a couple of ways to create a Google Meet with inside of your class. The quickest, easiest way is just right up here, Google Meet link. You create your Meet link in your class right here. And you would hit create the Meet link, and it would create it for you. Now, you have to decide after you create your Google Meet link whether or not you want it visible to your students or not. If you're not ready to hold your session, like it's the weeks before, you might not want to have it visible to your students. Also, you can turn it off at times. You just have to go in to the settings and turn it off. And I'll show you that in a minute too, but you have the visibility there. So I'm just gonna leave it open to students as if we're gonna meet tomorrow. I'll hit save. And it's right here at the top of your stream will be your Google Meet link. Since it's now, they have Google Meet working with classes, it'll open it, we'll probably open it in a new window, and then they'll have their session every day. The other thing to do is to look at Google Meet creating it through the settings, the gear inside of there, because you might actually need to change this Google Meet link. The easiest way to change it or to fix it is through your settings. So your settings are at the top right here under the gear, class settings. And you want to scroll down till you get to the Google Meet section. It's kind of in the middle under general. You can turn off the visibility here. And also, you can copy it, of course. You can also reset it. Why you would want to reset it inside of Google Classroom is because you basically want a new room created. And I could see it happening if for some reason you just don't want anyone in that other room. You want to kind of turn it off, maybe. So you would hit reset, or maybe you want to close down the room for a while, the Google Meet for a while, and then reopen it under a new room URL. So you could actually reset it. I could actually see resetting it and then turning it off for students. And then when you're ready, you turn it back on. You don't, because you want to have that Google Meet kind of closed up, but you might just leave it on all the time between every day, and it's not a big deal. So that's only if you have a reason why you'd want to do that. And so you have your full control of the Meet there under that. It's really where you control your Meet is through here. Not your classroom when you're in there, not your Meet when you're in there, but the links to the Meet, and you're setting it up. You control it through in Google Classroom. That's where you really control it. Another place that you can create it is in your classwork. You can create material or create a you can create an assignment, you can create material, and once you have your link, see, there's no place in here to actually like create the link in here. You know, there's like no place to there's no place to create the actual Google Meet. But if you go back to if you're at your settings and you copied your link, then when you go to your materials or whatever, you could do an assignment, but you're not going to be grading it. So I kind of find like assignments isn't the best place, but then you could just put in your link to Google Meet and add whatever else you need. And you could post it. I'm not going to post it because it'll take a few seconds, but you could post it. And then you could post it. It would post it right. Let's just post it. I guess if won't take too long on my internet. Hopefully, there you go. You post it, and it's right there for them to see. You can edit. You can delete it. You can copy the link. Once your students are in their classwork, maybe they're looking at all the classwork that they have. They can actually get to Google Meet right there. Just click on it, and it'll take them over to Google Meet. They can also get over to their Google Calendar, which I'm actually going to click on. And when you create a Google Classroom, your calendar will have it somewhere on there. The new class right here, math. So you'll actually have a calendar created on their calendars, which is kind of embedded sort of in Google Classroom, but even though it's in a new window, it's kind of embedded in there. So it's a real good way to have things automatically show up on Google Calendar. You're seeing all my stuff. That's okay. So it really just depends on what you're using, whether you're going to be just using Google Meet separately, you're going to be using it with your calendars, but not Google Classroom, or if you're going to be using Google Classroom, then I would suggest creating the link through Google Classroom. It's pretty straightforward and simple to do your Google Meet links and to set it all up. The only thing is when you're inviting students, you can send them the link, or you can invite them as a guest through the calendars, or if they're already in your classroom, you don't really have to invite them, because I believe when they're in the classroom, they just click on the link and they're going to be good to go because they're registered in your class. You've already set them up as students in there. So that's how you would give it out. You either give it to them as a link, you put it on their calendar and you make them a guest, or you already have them in your classroom. And here's the show or hide on this. Here's again the show or hide, which we already did. And then you can copy it the same way as I said. You can copy it. And then let's go over a few features. And oh yes, let me go to chat real quick, and then I'll come back. Yeah, the thing about Google Meet, let's go with if they reset the link, if it's compromised. That's what I was thinking of when I was preparing, was compromising. If they were sharing it with friends in other classes, you could basically turn it off and turn it back on. You can reset it every single time. That's a good idea too, from Karen. Yes, you can post it. If you post an assignment or material, you can pin it to the top. That is true. Yes, you can pin it to the top. Let me go back real quick. Yeah, you can pin it to the top. So I don't know the best way to show the Google interface, so I'm just gonna do it this way. Excuse me. I don't know how to show, but you'll be able to see a lot of the things on your screen too, inside of your Google Meet. But I'll show it here, the static. And you can try it with ours if they show up on yours, because they might not be exactly the same not being a host. If you click on our Google Meet where we're in, and you go down to the bottom, that's where you'll see your meeting details and the little arrow. I'm going to go to full screen real quick, the presentation mode, so hopefully you can all see it. I can't see the chat right now, but down here, if you use our Google Meet, down here, you might be able to see right now the details. Click on the little arrow. If you click on the arrow, that's where you can get the links and the material. You have your microphone over here, of course. If you're ready to leave, it's right here. Video's over here. You can actually turn on captions. I don't know if anyone's ever done it, but you can turn on captions. And actually, I have done it before for meetings, and it will do its best to caption what's happening on the screen. You can you present right here. This is your settings. I'll go over these on the next slide in more detail. Your participants list is up here, and your controls for the participants. Your chat is here, and then this is your little bit of controls for yourself. So let's go to the next slide. When you click on settings, you can then do a few things to change the layout. Mine is almost always on auto, but you might find it's best when you're teaching to have it as a sidebar where the students are on the side, participants, students, depends on if you're doing it for other professionals or doing it for students, I guess what you call them. I always call them participants, but it might be students. And then you'll see the sidebar, whoever's talking, spotlight, or whatever's being presented. Spotlight puts it on the person who is speaking or what's being presented. And titled, everybody's in the little titled, like this, like the Brady Bunch. That's great for discussions. You can even put the the person who's speaking there in one little box. It's great for discussions because you can see everyone. You can tell everyone to turn on their cameras, and then you can have a discussion that way. You can go ahead, of course, to full screen. Turn on your captions are also in the settings, or in this here. You can use your phone for audio, and there's of course help, reports, all those report problems, all that. When you present, it is best to present, I find it's best to present the smallest amount of your computer that you can. So if you're going to present your browser because you're going to present like a presentation or you want to show them a website or something like that, you just present your browser, not your entire screen. Or you can do a Chrome tab. If you're going to present like a Word document or something, you just present Word, you present a PDF, you present your whatever, Adobe or Preview or whatever's doing that. Because if you present your whole screen, of course, you have to make sure your desktop is cleared off and there's not something you wouldn't want someone else to see. But also, it makes everything smaller and harder to read sometimes. So you want to present the smallest amount you can, so one application, so it'll make it bigger on the screen also for people who are watching. Under each participant's name, you can pin them to your screen. You can also mute them if need be, and you can eject them right here. It's underneath each participant's name. That's not something probably that you'll be able to do as not being the host, but that's one thing you can do being a host. You can give a little bit of features on them. Okay, so a couple other things I put on this document. I put a couple of from Google, a couple of more information kind of things. Their outreach initiatives for education, their products, some tips, some answers, Google Meet cheat sheet. There's like a cheat sheet on there. I didn't want to just explain all this, so I just left it there so you could read it if you needed any more help. So those are 3 good products from Google. Google is adding all the time. Chelsea and I talked about this. Google is adding more features to Google Meet. Depending on whether or not your district has Google Meet for Education or Google Meet Enterprise, you'll have different features. They're adding many features all the time. So I would expect by the end of the school year to have a lot more features in Google than I just showed you. I'm not, of course, a Google Meet developer, so I couldn't tell you a timeline, but I've been reading more and more, even just this summer, a few more features coming out than they had before. So there are features coming. If you use Zoom or another product, you'll see a lot of those features start to add into Google Meet. And I think it will even be better for a management system and for class collaboration. if anybody wants to see the new features, I could share a document, but I could maybe share a document. Yeah, I'm not a Google developer. Well, I don't know if I ever will be, but I have been teaching coding classes, but I could share a document really quick before we leave. But if you would like to know the other features, if not, all the features I showed you today should be available to everyone. The biggest thing with Google Meet and the features is to practice, 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 and having as much control as you can, and always acting like you have more, you know more than what you really do, and keep working through all of the problems that you have by just being patient and knowing that you'll learn all the features, and also you'll be able to manage your students in Google Meet. Each time you'll get better and better. So I don't think it's actually to lead a session that scary once you do it enough, because I had done it for like 6 years and it was every time easier and easier. So I think it's really due. Okay. Next question. The difference between Meet and G Suite account and a simple personal account. A lot of the differences would have to probably be in the back end, because your district can restrict Google Meet, I believe, just for people in the organization. And with your personal account, you can give out the link to other people, but they can restrict it for only in your organization, I would believe. But there's no difference between a lot of the features. There's no difference, I don't believe. But when they start adding more features, it's going to be for education accounts. It's probably not going to be as many for simple personal accounts. So when the new features come, it's probably going to be a lot for education, and that's what they're going to be for. Yes. You can't record in a personal account, and school domains cannot join. So there's features like that. There's more features, going to be more features for Google Meet and education, because they're making it for education.
All right. Well, Matthew, if you don't mind, I'm going to share my screen very quickly, just to go over some last minute just announcements. So thank you guys for attending our session today. If you wouldn't mind filling out this feedback form, which is hyperlinked in the slides, and then I will post the link in the chat in just a second. Next, please make sure to sign up for our Google group if you haven't already. You can visit our website and it'll tell us exactly how you sign up for the group. And it's a great place to go if you have questions, just to ask them and get resources from other colleagues around the state. There's currently 102 Alaskan educators signed up in that group. So it's a really good opportunity to connect with others from across the state, share resources, all that good stuff. Next, these are just ways that you can connect with us. You can visit our website to see all of our upcoming events. We are running a Google Meet series. So thank you to Matthew for being the first presenter. Next week, I will be presenting about how to be an effective host and kind of the nuts and bolts behind doing a presentation. So all of that can be found on our website, in our Google group, and also on Twitter. And then if you have any questions, or if you're interested in presenting for GEG Alaska, because we are looking for more educators to present, please feel free to reach out to us as well. Otherwise, we wanted to keep this session short to 30 minutes because it is late at night. You guys are busy. So it is 8:01, so we are done. If you guys would like to stay on, if you have any questions, feel free to do so. In the chat, here is the presentation link. And then otherwise, I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. And sorry, that's not the presentation link. That's the, oh gosh, the feedback form link. Yeah, survey. Yes. All right. Yeah, and then Tammy mentioned our launch. We will be officially launching. We have something exciting planned for September 22nd, when we'll be a fully functioning group. And then shout out to Karen, who's kind of been along with us this whole ride so far, attending our PD over the summer. So yeah, thank you guys for joining. Hopefully we will see you next week as we talk about hosting and how to be an effective host for your own Google Meet.